It's Valentine's Day, February 14th, a Wednesday, 2024. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism. No matter how snowy and cold it gets, you can always find yourself in hot water in Thermopolis. Check them out at thermopolis.com. Well, as we've been talking about over the last couple of days, we're going to see a pattern trending colder from the north to the south, across the Intermountain West and into the plains, affecting a lot of the northern areas. Basically, for folks along and north of I-70 and I-80, you're going to have most of the weather in the coming days. South of those areas, well, you're basically going to miss out. The Pacific Northwest, the Northern Rockies, Northern Plains are going to have the best chances for snow, as well as the mountains. Mountains are going to do well here. And the next 7 to 10 days is going to be great for the snowpack that really needs a boost. This is especially true in Montana, Idaho, Washington, parts of Oregon, parts of northern and western Wyoming. You're going to see some opportunities finally to get some frequent snow chances. So that's going to help. We're also going to see good opportunities for snowpack growth in Colorado, Utah, southern Wyoming, Nevada, California again. Lesser weather in the southwest United States. The weather won't be as active in Arizona and New Mexico. The Pacific, though, is going to be throwing a lot at us in the coming weeks. So we're probably going to find ourselves late this month and into early March where everybody gets into the act. And that'll be something that we'll touch on here at the end of the podcast. Beautiful sundog here in the upper Green River Basin of Wyoming with a beautiful sundog. Thanks, Dave, for sending that in. Satellite imagery this morning, it's a little confusing, kind of hard to pick out the details, but two areas I want to show you. Right here is an area of low pressure, and you can see some moisture here, and it's getting elongated and stretched out, but it is pushing eastward. Up here, you can see movement south of these clouds here and here. This is the colder air beginning to come south out of Canada. You can also see these clouds coming south as well. So there's a little bit of collision from here and here kind of coming together in the coming days as we go into an area right out here, as you'll see here in a moment. Right now, these are where we have winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings in effect for this upcoming winter weather. A long east-west swath right here, another swath right here, going down into the southern mountains of Wyoming and into the mountains of the Pacific Northwest and northern and central California. Really, in the next 72 hours, really it's going to be these areas right here that are going to have the most winter weather. So some of these areas may be filling in with advisories later on. Focusing in on Wyoming, these are where the winter weather advisories and winter storm warnings are in effect over the course of the next couple of days here. Pacific moisture from that low we just showed you is streaming east. So if you look at the wind barbs, these winds are coming west to east. These wind barbs are coming from the north to the south. Hence, this is where that convergence of air masses, Pacific and Canadian, will be coming together. This is by Friday morning. So by Friday morning, what ends up happening is we have the high pressure ridge taking the jet stream like this, allowing cold air to come down along the divide. And this little guy right here is the next little push of Pacific moisture interacting with that. So while this is by no means a big snow event in terms of tons and tons of inches of snow, it is going to be about a 3-day period of off and on snow and colder weather. And you can see the cold air spilling along the divide. This is by Friday afternoon, so you can see the cold is coming. Now let's go in time. We'll show you a loop here in a minute over the next 10 days of what the precipitation is going to do. But this is the total precipitation forecast through Saturday, 5 p.m. So you can see, like we showed you yesterday, South Dakota, northern Nebraska, northeastern Wyoming, a good swath of Montana, and in the mountains of Wyoming and Colorado, this is where a lot of activity will be. Then you can see all the moisture coming in the Pacific Northwest. So this is through Saturday. So you can see, once you get south of I-70 here, you're really just not looking at much going on into the southern area. So your weather down there is going to be pretty quiet. But up north, you're going to see the weather. And this is what the snowfall forecast looks like through Saturday. So the Black Hills, the Bighorns, the Snowy Range, the Sierra Madres, the Central Mountains of Colorado, good snow in the Yellowstone Plateau, the Wind Rivers, the Wyoming Range, the northern Wasatch, and the mountains of southwest Montana and Idaho. They're going to see, over the next 4 days, some good snows. Avalanche dangers in those areas are going to be going up. Now let's put into motion the forecast here over the next 10 days. And what I want to show you is that while we don't have one particular big circle or low coming in, there's going to be several waves coming off the Pacific and off the central Pacific northern areas up through the Gulf of Alaska, through the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies. Now it doesn't look like much, but each of these little waves that get pushed through, here's another one, here's another one, there's another one. They don't look like much, but these little ripples are just great ways to make it snow in the Northern Rockies. Just a really good pattern. So this is a good pattern for the snowpack. If you're a skier, a snowmobiler, you don't tend to have a big snow event happen out into the plains, but this is kind of a pattern right here. We haven't really seen this winter. I think that's one reason why the snowpacks aren't doing very well in this area right here. So here's an opportunity over the next week and a half for these areas to see these frequent systems coming on through. This also keeps it from getting too warm or also getting too cold either, as the Pacific will kind of dominate. So the Arctic air doesn't have a chance to come south, but it doesn't get really warm for at least too long either. And if we were to go over the 10 days, you can see how the focus is the Pacific Northwest and the Northern Rockies, then out into the Northern Plains over the next 10 days here. So there's going to be some opportunities for high country snowfall, and occasionally a little bit will get out on into the plains as well, favoring those areas along and north of I-80 and I-70. This is what the 10-day snowfall forecast looks like, so you can see how impressive it looks there into the mountain ranges, including the Sierra Nevada. We talked yesterday, and we showed you yesterday that we thought the Pacific was showing us signs that it's going to be very active. It's getting that way now, but if we were to look out further, this is 10 days from now, the 24th of February, this two jet stream pattern, strong northerly jet across the North Pacific, an active southerly jet across the southern areas, north of the equator, north of the El Nino zone, so to speak. When we get the interaction between these two, especially when you start looking at late February and into early March, that is a way to have a very active pattern. And you can see that at the 500 millibar chart. This is at the 300 hours. So this is the 26th of February. See all of these tightly packed black lines and low pressure systems coming on through. So late February into early March should be busy. Have yourself a good Wednesday. We'll see you tomorrow.